Hey guys, Snoozy here, and today we're going to be doing a new episode of Dang, which is Discover a New Game. So essentially, we're going to try to find games that you guys might not know about that are really fun. A little bit of hidden gems, see where we can go from there, and find if we can get anything interesting for you guys. So today we will be doing Across the Obelisk. It's pretty similar to other roguelike card games. If you're familiar with like Slay the Spire, games like that, there's a lot of similarity here. As you can see, this is a multiplayer game, which is really fun. The games themselves can take a long time, so you're going to want to have some spare time if you're going to try to sit through a whole game in one session. The neat thing here with is you can pick up a game with your buddy, play through it, and then if somebody's got to go, you can just end the game and then pick up right where you were left off last time. So works pretty well. It's really fun. That said, we're going to get into the modes. You have your adventure mode, which is you can discover new characters, unlock cards, fight evil bosses in this roguelike adventure. This is where most of my time spent because I was spending time unlocking pets, unlocking characters, learning the game, playing around. Over here, you have the Obelisk Challenge, which is a fully random roguelike. Every game will be different as you progress through the world while trying to reach the obelisk. And then you have your weekly challenges over here where you're competing against other players, new rules, fixed characters. This is your try-hard mode here. If you like being competitive, this is probably the mode that you're going to enjoy. For us, we're going to go into adventure mode, and here you have your save slots. We're going to go ahead and start a new game, and here are all of the characters that are currently in the game at the time of filming. Up here you'll have your warriors. Some of them are damage, some of them are tank. A lot of the characters in this game you can build really either way, and you can do some really crazy things. So just because that they are a warrior doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go full tank, and doesn't mean you have to do full damage. You can mix and match, do whatever you want. This game gives you a decent amount of trial and error that you can do to find a playstyle that's good for you. Over here you have your scouts. These are some, I would call them damage characters. I don't really think they are very tanky, but again, you can do some really crazy stuff in this game, so maybe somebody has some tank builds for these with like evasion or something. You have your mages, general spellcasters. They do a lot of cool things. Healers, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory, but what's really cool, and I really only play the last two here, so maybe this isn't true, but these guys can pump out some serious damage while still getting really good heals. I've been currently playing around on Madness 4, and with these two built as damage with some of the splash into healing, I'm able to beat Madness 4. So you don't think that they can only just heal, you can do some other stuff. And the multi-classes down here, there's only two currently. These two you have to get from the DLC. I think it's like a $20 expansion, and then you have to actually play the game and unlock them after you bout the DLC. That's a little bit different. If you look at Amelia over here, you buy the DLC. I think it's like $5, and you unlock her immediately. So the base game is pretty fun. Honestly, you could probably just buy the base game and just continue playing and seeing if you like it and then investing later. You don't really gain much investing in early unless there's like a particular hero you want or something. So I would start with the base game. One of the big things with the game here is that you can do a lot of mixing and matching. There's obviously going to be like a current meta that you can stick to if you want to, or if you really want, you can go out on a limb and just try to wing it and do it yourself. There's a lot of other content creators you can find out on YouTube here that have guides that are going to go way more in depth than what we're covering here. This is kind of just an overlay of here's what this game is and here's what it's got to offer. So with that said, we're going to go and get rid of this guy and let's go with Sylvie. This is the build that I've been doing here, and we're just going to go ahead and set this down all the way to low level just so we can showcase some stuff here. We even take some of these Madness Corruptors off. So you can do the campaign, which is Madness 0, which is what I recommend if you're new to the game. If you want more difficulty, you can start cranking stuff up. The furthest I got here is 5. I have to beat that yet, and then I can unlock some of these other difficulties. For instance, I was only on 3 before, but you could turn on Mutilators over here. And turn the Madness level up even higher if you want. You can even play on 0 and turn in the Mutilators. So you can kind of craft your own experience here. As you go up, the stuff will get harder, and the effects will be over here. And eventually you can't get your chest rewards. It's difficult. Your starting energy is lower. It gets pretty difficult, at least for me. But we're not going to mess with that. We're just going to stay here and get started. We're going to skip the cutscene. I'll let you guys see that on your own time. And this is the general map. So this is what we are going to be navigating through. we need to get over to the skull here, which is the boss of Act 1. And you can see if you hover over any of these nodes here, they show you what's connected. So if I want to get to this rift, which I do, I would need to come to here, and then that goes to here, this one connects here, and all the way back to town. There's different events, and I've been through here a bunch, so I have them all unlocked. Here's like Tom's Farm. Apparently I never did Tom's Farm. And you'll see it just says a bunch of question marks. Whereas stuff like this, it'll tell you a little bit about them if there's more information available. It's important to note that not everything has a fight attached. Some are just events, and you can go into the event and get rewarded, or you can get thrown into a fight. You have different options and all kinds of different stuff that you can do. So first off, you always start here, and the first and only place you can go is town. This is where you'll be go ahead and getting all of your upgrades, building your characters, and all of that stuff. So here for the town upgrades, I have this all unlocked. Playing through the game, you'll just find some of these little crates, and you can use these to unlock some stuff. Eventually, once you have everything unlocked, you can sell supplies for currency. It's important to note that your currency does not carry over to the next time you play. You only will if you are playing on a difficulty where you can get a chest. So you will get a percentage of whatever currency you had from the last game to apply in your new game. So for here, I can get 5.4k and 6.7k of each of these currencies. And gold you'll use to either buy stuff from the shops here. The shops are randomly generated. It won't be the same every time. The pets, once you unlock pets, you will have them permanently unlocked. And you will need to purchase them every round. So we don't have enough for Wolfie. Amelia, I believe, comes with Rifty, so we'll just pick this up. We're not going to fully gear out. I'm not going to bore you guys with that stuff. One of the first things you're going to do in here is come in here, and you'll see all of the cards that you have unlocked for your archetypes. So she's an archer. Well, yeah, archer-ish. She can do melee stuff too. It doesn't have to be just archery. And you can go ahead and build your decks out. So let's say with Amelia, I already have a deck saved. We're going to just do the Shatter deck. And this is what I've been playing. And you'll see down here, crafting this deck will cost, and it's always the blue currency here for when you're crafting or upgrading. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, let's say that we don't have decks made. All you'd have to do is come into here, and you can look at all of these different cards and find out what they all do. For instance, if we are going to look at Winter Orb. Repeat 4 times, it says. Well, what does repeat do? The tooltip will always give you more information about it. So this little icon here, that's chill. Well, chill is cold resistance minus 1% per charge, and speed is minus 5% charge, etc. So you can find a lot of this helpful information right on the card just by hovering over them. And if you find a card that you want, you can just click it, and it's added now to my deck. Now, let's say I've purchased some cards, and I have cards in here that I don't like. Well, we'll stay on Amelia. Let's say I don't want to have all of these Ice Lances. It's too many Ice Lances. Remove. Now I only have 15 cards. You can't go under 15 cards. So you're going to build your starting deck and be mindful of your resources here. You don't want to go too low on your resources because you're not going to be able to build all the characters out. Now, each card, well, not every single, most cards, not every card. For instance, I can't upgrade this one. There are upgrades, but I can't do it here. So for most of your cards in the game, they have 2 paths that they can upgrade. So if you notice here, and then you go down here, you can see the differences. So all of this is different here. And it's also important to note that this is circled. And what that's telling you is it's a vanish. So once you play this card, it won't come back in my deck. So if you go through your whole deck and then you have no cards left, you shuffle your deck back in. But if it's a vanish card, as soon as you use it, it's removed from your deck for the rest of the fight. The next fight, it'll be back in your deck and you can use it again. It's really nice for some of the smaller stuff. Why I don't keep drawing these Ice Lances later on in the game when I really need some bigger spells. Again, this game has a lot of different stuff you can do. It's really fun. You're going to have to experiment a lot with it. The other thing here is if you click on your character, you can go to their character sheet, see all kinds of different information about them, levels and traits. So every time you level up here, you'll get to pick either which side of the talent tree. I'm going to call it a talent tree. You can go down whichever side you want. Left, right, doesn't really matter. On top of that, you have equipment, which you can purchase from the shop or find it from rewards. Every character has theirs. This is only for the game. Once the game is done, you will lose your equipment unless it has an unlock like a pet, in which case you can pick your pet up again at the shop. Sylvie's the exception to this. Her starting item is actually Harley, so she always gets her pet as soon as you start the game. One of the other things here is your perks. This is more of like the actual talent tree rather than what I was talking about before. Every time your overall character, not character, I'm going to call it an account progression levels up to level 50, you'll get a perk point you can put into your character. Each character is separate. What I mean by that is, if I'm level 10, let's say I'm level 50. I'm level 50 right now. So since I'm level 50, every character gets 50 points. I don't have to worry about me putting in, 10 points here and then not being able to max out Sylvie. You can just max them all out as you level up. So under your perks, you have your general, so like life, armor, you're starting with more gold or shards, your speed, how much energy are you starting with? Why don't I have, okay, I don't know why I don't have speed, ignore that. You can have your increased marks. Here's your slashing damage, piercing damage, bludgeon, etc. All kinds of stuff. You need to spend a decent amount of time in here once you start getting committed to the game, or just find your favorite content creator and copy their builds. But every character is going to have their own little different build here, and I don't recommend copying mine because I'm not very good at the game, but it's still a really fun game. So with all that said, let's get out to actually playing the game. What does the actual gameplay look like? I know it's been like 10 minutes and I've been rambling about what you can all do in this game and all that stuff, but we're going to get into it. So we're going to go down the south path because I want to get to the Eldritch Rift here. And we'll start the game. And up here is the attack order. So Sylvie attacked first because she has the highest speed, and the pet actually does some damage. If you right click, you can actually go look at the equipment, and every time it's my turn, Harley is going to cast a Bird of Prey. If you right click that, you can get in here, and then what does this do? The back monster always takes 5 damage. Well, not always, it'll take into account armor and resistances and all that stuff. Then it applies 2 clairvoyance and then 2 bleed. So every time it's my turn, that pet's going to attack. Rifty will also attack, but not every pet will actually attack. You need to figure out which pets you like and what kind of role you're trying to fill in with. So essentially, you win the combat by killing all the monsters on here. Sometimes you can just kill the boss monster and it'll end the stage. You just kind of got to play a little bit and figure it out. Under Sylvie, you can see the yellow here is 6 bars, meaning she has 6 energy to play. In the top left of your cards is the energy cost. So we're just going to go ahead and just do some random fire there. As you could see before, that one said it was a random enemy. This one only hits the front monster, so I can only hit that guy. This one just says monster, so I can hit this guy or whatever character I wanted. Now her turn's done, and I'll press end, and my next character will go ahead and draw their cards. As you can see, they're up to 6 as well. Now notice Sylvie back here only has 3 flashing green. That means when it's Sylvie's turn, she will have 3 energy to play. So we will just do a little bit. We did this wrong already, but good thing this is a tutorial. So realistically, you want to apply your curse first, most likely, and then do a dark blow. But again, lots of different things. You can do all kinds of stuff. Notice how we only have 3 yellow over here, and now it's up to 6. That's because she gained a turn and gained her initial 3 energy. Now, once that turn or that combat is done, you will be brought to the reward screen. Here you can select any of these cards to add to your deck. So the top row would go over here and all the way down. I don't really want any of these, so I'm just going to choose shards and get an extra 30 currency. So I did it 4 times. I got an extra 120. Now we're going to go to the small lake, and they'll give you a little bit of lore about what's going on here. You can go ahead and read this and decide what you want to do. So let's say we want to take our time and try to fish something. Group 5 or lower. And if you hover over this, the success of this is 55%. What this means is it's going to flip up the cards, and my group total has to be under 55. I'm sorry, under 5. Not 55. 55 would be insane. And we failed because we got 7. So nothing bad happened to us there, but a lot of times with events, if you fail, you could get something negative, like every time you add a card to your deck, and every time that card's drawn, you take 3 fire damage. If you go to like a church in town or some of these rewards, you can go ahead and actually remove that card from your deck permanently. It's really important to know that those can really stack up against you. And one of the other things I want to point out is if you die in combat, your character will be back the next combat, and they'll be at 70% life, I believe. But a card called Death's Door is added to your deck, which is really nasty. It reduces your energy, makes you take damage, and until you get to a church or an event that you can actually remove that, it's going to be in every single combat. Now, if you want to maximize your experiences, you're going to want to go ahead and start doing these challenges when you come to combats. You'll get to choose either of these rewards. And right here is what's going to happen. So all monsters gain 15 health. They deal 2 more damage. And every turn, a random monster gains 2 thorns and 2 regeneration. And it's marked as hard. I really wouldn't say this one's very hard. I would probably put it like on easy. But it depends on the build you're playing. There's another one of these where it's like every monster gains thorns every time you use a card. That one usually annihilates my builds. I kind of skip that one. But it depends on what your play style is and what kind of cards and decks you're bringing in to actually deal with these. We only have 248 gold, but I'm going to go ahead and show you the exotic shop, assuming I don't die here. So now all of these monsters are super buffed by the Living Forest buff here. As you can see, this one's a random monster, so we're going to see if we get lucky. And we just kind of spread the damage around. Let's put the vigilance up. So now that they have sight on there, we can actually hover above them, and we can see exactly what cards each of the monsters are going to be playing on their next turn. Up here, I don't think I mentioned this. This is going to be the attack order. So you'll see I have 2 characters will go before. And it's important to note that this is red 15 because he's been slowed because he has some chill on him. Let's go ahead and just kill the front guy. Oops, we're out of energy. Next character. Vigilance. This character is actually really good at doing damage to herself. Every time she punches, she takes damage. With that, a card. It's not every single time. This card actually takes 0, so we'll just go ahead and punch. And now we're going to hope we don't take too much damage. And this guy decided to put armor on him, and that'll prevent 10 damage. So I have to break through the armor before I can actually damage the health. Here's a Frost Nova that does damage to all monsters, so let's go ahead and Frost Nova that. Ice Lance is 0, so we'll kill this guy and see how much more damage we can get. Now, notice that he has 4 health and 4 bleed, and that this skull right here is red and flashing. And that's because when this monster takes its turn, it's going to take 4 bleed damage and die. Since it doesn't actually get a turn because it'll die to the bleed damage, you can sometimes do some neat things and go ahead and, like, this character would heal for every sight and insane on there. Now, since this is happening and every turn is happening, it gained 2 regeneration, so it's actually not going to die anymore. Notice how that skull is gone. So let's go ahead and make sure it dies. I don't want any of this. And since we beat that and we had the shop, this is the exotic shop. It's random as well. You can go through here and find all kinds of different things that you can buy. I don't really want any of this, so I'm just going to leave. Now, let's say that you were 21 gold short, or times 4, and you had extra shards. You could go ahead and do this shady deal, which is always a terrible deal. But sometimes if you have a really good item in here and this will make up the difference, it's worth doing. So he'll take some of my shards and then give me some gold. Now, depending on the character that you bring with you, will give you different options to select when you're at events. So since we have this guy with us, we'll press this and we'll actually get to go into a reward screen here where we can pick cards to add to our deck. And again, I don't want any of these. Now, normally I'd go to this Eldritch Rich because it has some really good stuff and I have Amelia with me. But we're going to show you some quests here. So if you go to these quests and you accept and promise that you'll help, this is going to be a bit of a spoiler for this section. You can choose items here. I don't want anything. Actually, I'll take blunt damage. This person can take some resistance, some resistances, and this guy can have speed. If you didn't want any of that, you could have just skipped and gained gold. Now, notice how the pig's gone, but now we have a question mark up here with Bandit Camp Fresh Meat Character Event. So we need to go all the way up there, and here's our quest, Scared Pigman. And it says, you promise the priest that you will deal with Yager at the bandit camp. And this is the bandit camp, so Yager is going to be up here. So essentially, you would travel all the way up and then hope to kill Yager, and then you would get a reward. And you need to be careful on what you do, because some things will take you off the path. So if I go that way, I wouldn't be able to really get over here to this if I wanted it, which isn't really that big of a deal because the rewards up here are better. So doing stuff like we're doing for the pig here is how you actually unlock characters. So there are a lot of characters that are in the game that you unlock by doing certain things, and they can be kind of complex. Same with pets. Sometimes you have to go up here and do a thing, and then come down here and do a thing, and then go to Act 2, Act 3 and do something, and then get to the very end of Act 4, and then you can unlock the character if you did all of the steps. It can be a multi-act quest. It's kind of fun. It's kind of hard to find out without guides, so if you really like finding stuff out on your own, good luck. Like, a lot of this is hard to find. And there's also like certain items that are only available in certain places. You have to do certain tasks before other stuff will show up. Some of these are just rare events. Some of them aren't every single game. There's a lot you do. So once you go ahead and get through the whole map and you get to the end here, what you can go ahead and do is go through this, and you can choose the next act. So acts 2 and 3 are kind of choose your own adventure. You can pick which zone you want to go to. Each zone's gonna have different monsters, different loot, different rewards, different unlocks. Some are harder than others, and they're huge maps, just like about the same size as this, with as many options. Act 1 and Act 4 are the same, unfortunately. I really wish there was differences in the acts, but they're the same, and that kind of really just annoys me. Act 4 isn't very fun in my opinion. It's probably the worst act for me. I just don't like it. I don't know if it's the repetition of every run you have to do it or what. I really wish there was a different Act 1 and Act 4 choices, but at the end of the day, that's kind of nitpicking because the game is still really fun. Now, with all of that said, it's a really fun game. It's even more fun with friends. So if you're playing with multiple people, let's say you have 4 friends, each of your friends can control one character, and they have their own turns that they can take. Now, let's say you don't have, 3 other friends to play with you. You have 1 other friend. You can split it up. You can have the first person do these 2, and the second person do these 2. You can have the first person do this one, second this one, first one this one, second one this one. Maybe your friends are really, really good at the game. You just want to focus on one character. Your friend can do 3 characters, and you can do 1. You can split it up any single way you want to, and just continue on like nothing's ever happened with it. That said, that's going to be the end of this video. It's really light on just what the game is. Hopefully you guys will like it. It's a little bit different than our traditional action RPGs we play, but that's kind of the point. I want you guys to get out there, experience a little bit different other games, see if there's some other stuff you like out there. So I have to say that there won't be an action RPG game on here. Just right now, we're kind of branching out a little bit, going crazy. So that's all there is for this. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Across the Obelisk, and I will talk to you guys later. Toodles!